Next time.
All right. Need an approval for the meeting agenda for tonight's meeting.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any against? All right. Motion carries.
All in favor.
All in favor. I'm sorry. It's been a minute, y'all.
Yep.
Sorry.
Me too.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's see here. Approval of the prior meeting minutes from November 12th, 2024. So it has been a minute. Any questions or anything?
Motion to approve. I'll second again.
All right. Anyone against? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see here. Do we have any public comments back there? Look, anyone signed up? Okay.
We need to.
All right.
Sorry,
No, you're fine.
No, okay.
You're fine. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and speak what you saw. Yep. Thank you so much. Oh, Mr. Lasser, if you'd like to go ahead and you have the floor.
Yeah. My name's David Langster. This is my girlfriend, Morgan Nasby. We live at 317 Patana Drive, which is the first house on the backside of the Doris Farms development. Yeah, phase 2. Really, we're here to get a little bit of information on, I guess, what the remainder of the plan looks like, because we've also taken on floodwater for going on 3 years now, so we're pretty upset and would like some answers, really.
The thing is, we've been told by engineering people, Safe Harbor, we've talked to the city, we've talked to the water people. I have names, and we are being passed around that we've come to realize, like, do we need a lawyer to go, to the next steps, because we're to the point where it's decreasing our home value. You can see we had inches of water in our garage this time. It's completely washed away our whole side yard. We have an in-ground pool. Our property value is decreasing, and that's crazy to talk in Sumner County, because if anything, everything goes up. And, we saw where the high school flooded. That came from our road. And we are on that first part where all that water was coming, just pouring into our house. And this, like I said, our very first picture that we had brought to the attention of the city was December of 2022. And we just keep being told, we're going to fix this, we've got a plan, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Nothing's ever done. Right now, they did re-dig up the road, and they put a berm up, so that is, and then they dug a trench, which was in there before, but now the city said that we have to put back that road because that subdivision needs a turnaround point. But the thing is, every time that goes back, it just washes away our house again. And we just want answers. We keep being passed around to all these different people. Safe Harbor's telling us, that it's the city engineer, not the city engineer, the engineer who built the project. And then Safe Harbor saying it's the city who approved all these codes and plans, that we need to go after the city. We just want answers. That's why we're here. We just want some sort of, what's the next, where do we need to go forward from here? Because we're just to the point where we're so frustrated. We spent all day, they did pay for Surf Pro to come out and clean our property up, but at what point, you know, we're supposed to get all this right in the next couple of days. I mean, what's gonna happen then? And we have pictures and videos. I've talked to Mike Hudson, he was my go-to guy. You know, he promised us a lot of stuff that never happened. Our alderman came out and, Jeremy, to talk to us, and, you know, I was very upset with him, and I was hoping he would be here so I could apologize, but, you know, we're being pushed under the rug, or a Band-Aid's been put on it, and we're just here to get answers, and we just don't know where else to turn. That's why we came tonight. And I feel like if it was those engineers that with their house being flooded, the issue would have been corrected January 1st of 2023, because that's when, you know, a month after we got our first flood. So, yeah.
When did you buy your house?
2020.
2020, so 2 years after?
Yes, yes. And we knew that there were projects going, you know, we knew that there was going to be a project. We just were not expecting the devastation. I mean, it's caused, I mean, they're getting ready to send out landscapers to redo our whole, I mean, we spent $4,000 on landscaping 2 years ago, and it was completely washed away. I mean, it's picked up our shed and moved our shed. I mean, that's how, it's not just flood water, I mean, it's gushing water. And, I mean, we have videos of all that, you know, I'll gladly send them to whoever I need to send, but we just, like I said, we're just here to kind of see what the plan is, or if there's a plan for Doris Farms. I mean, we just keep being told that things are being done and they're not, so.
So the water got in, obviously in your garage, you put pictures about that, but did it get into your house? Just in the garage?
Just all in the garage, yeah. I mean, it was splashing up into
Sure.
our house, but
Sure.
nothing, it did not go into.
Yeah.
I think that was from 3/4 of an inch of rain is what this latest was. So I believe this week I've seen 5 inches in the next 6 days. So
I think we actually had 2 inches of rain
In 20 minutes.
in just a few minutes, so it's
Yeah.
pretty.
What I'm hoping, this next storm, I mean, hopefully if it's 5 inches, it's spread out over 30 hours or whatever, I think we'll be okay if that's the case, but.
But here's the thing too.
Yeah.
There's so much clay and stuff built up on ours. There's nowhere for the water to go besides in our house next time. I mean, it's stacked up. I mean, the clay is so thick and the water has nowhere to go.
So when they come out to redo, whoever's coming, are they gonna move that clay, or what is the deal with the clay?
Well, we don't know because
We've been told different things.
yeah, we don't know.
We've issued a citywide stop work order.
I did see that.
And so Doris Farms, I know Isaiah and his team are working with them on what they need to do to get it remedied. I've got a note of your address, and I'll have Isaiah or somebody from his team go out and maybe, I don't know if you've talked to
Yeah,
them.
Isaiah's been there several times.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's another thing too. We keep talking to him and we keep hearing things that this is gonna be done, this is gonna be.
So you did see some action taken though, right? You did see that
They took straw down.
they tore out the road, they're putting straw down.
They
and
put straw down, yeah. They
cleaned up
tear up the, but we
cleaned up
haven't
the
had
dam-
rain since.
They cleaned up the damage at your home, right?
I'm sorry?
They cleaned up the damage at your home?
No.
Not totally. They cleaned up the garage and got the mud out of the garage.
Okay.
And there's still red clay or whatever it is that's still dumped all on both sides of the yard.
Okay.
And then piles of straw that are 4 houses down from us, but.
I wanna make sure they make good on what they've done, the damage that's been done to your house, to your property, your.
That we can
pool,
see. I mean,
landscape.
there's damage that could be underneath our foundation. I mean, there's damage we have a rock bed that surrounds our house, and there's clay in it, and you can see exposed about that much of the rock that was below ground that's now shifted up. So that water that's in there, it has no way to get out, so it's trapped. Trapped water is gonna mold, and some of these things, if they come out and you put your eyes on it, might look like, oh, well, we fixed what we were able to, but the damage is unseen. I mean, like I said, our in-ground pool that could rise in a year or 2 from all that saturated water underneath the ground. I mean, there's just things that.
Could be, I don't know.
Could be.
The type of things you're gonna have to point out, if you've seen damage done, we would wanna see it corrected.
Right,
by the
and I feel
developer.
like they've taken steps that we haven't seen in the past to come and correct those.
That's gonna be our continued effort, I can tell you
Right.
right now, is that we're gonna continue to stay on the developer to get that ground stabilized. That's why we had to tear out that road, because we felt the water was just running down the road. seen the videos of your house, it was terrible, all that mud coming up your way, it was, it's unconscionable. So that's gotta get fixed. You can't keep letting mud run down into your house. So we'll stay on them about that, I can tell you that, we will be
And I
staying.
think what they've done, building this trench or berm, whatever, it fixes it now, but
Yes.
if that plan is to still have a back way into the neighborhood, and as soon as they fill that,
Mhm.
they're probably gonna have the same issue again, so. I know it was supposed to, our cul-de-sac was supposed to be cut through,
Right.
and they were supposed to extend our driveway up, I think another 15 foot, 20 foot, I think Isaiah said that they were gonna come out and grade everything different, but, I mean, if you see pictures of the property that is sold, that is the first house, next doors, where they cut that ditch, for lack of a better word, their property line sits about like this, and then they have to fall off probably 8 to 10 foot down. So while it fixes it now, as soon as that house starts getting built, and as soon as that turns back into a road, I fear that we're gonna have the same issue.
So I need to see if we can keep that closed as long as we possibly can, so they build out this subdivision.
It would have to be that way.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind, then. All right, thank you.
Yeah, cause I mean,
The
when the
drains,
road,
they have, I think they told us they have 18 drains. If you stand at the end of our road and look up, which is, I think the elementary school is where you're looking at that point, running straight up that road, there's 18 culverts or drains that go alongside the road, but if you walk up to one of them, they have about that much straw and
Yeah.
That's
dirt
one of the-
on it, so it's missing everything that it's supposed to go into.
That's one of the things they're working on is cleaning those
Right.
things out, making sure they stay clean.
And until grass can grow, they're not gonna be able to stop it.
That's another
So,
issue, yeah,
which
but-
we've been in constant contact with, Safe Harbor
You need
about
to
that.
make
but-
sure you're keeping a list of things that you think are damaged and needs to be reviewed, or have somebody look at it, an inspector,
Right,
or
we're
something.
gonna have a structural engineer come out and.
All right,
Good.
that's a good idea, to have a list, and then the developer needs to be responsible.
Right.
Because they've been
But
caught.
the scariest thing is what we can't see, but we know that
Yeah.
trapped water can't be,
Right.
and, you know, I still stay in contact with the previous homeowner who has lived there for, I think, 19 years before we bought the house, and I think 2010 was a big flood, and he said that, I mean, there was zero issue. The only issue they had was from the creek that was behind our house that maybe came up a little far, because I know several people have tried to come up and say, oh, well, you guys sit at a low point, you've always had issues with flooding, but we've never had a single issue until the development started.
So you're seeing it
That's the
start,
frustrating
once they
thing.
start moving dirt out there, that's when you start seeing
Right.
some things happening around.
So your property is not considered to be in a floodplain?
I hope not, or I'll
No.
never be able to sell it.
It's
I
not.
mean,
It's not.
it's not.
Jason, do you have anything on the design or anything of the detention, bio retention, all that stuff in that subdivision?
No, I mean, I don't recall, other than back when they were going through the plans review, you know, that area was focused on. I think what you've highlighted is just a really risky period for the contractor during construction.
Right.
The things you pointed out, there's more runoff that's happening because it's hitting dirt instead of grass that used to be there. And then you couple that with the grass that's not finished, and when the project's finished, you won't have that same amount of runoff.
Right.
And you'll have it going into a new stormwater system, but right now you almost have neither.
Right.
Well,
And
they
that
kept-
contractor's got to protect,
Right.
you know, any risk that they have at the boundary of their project.
Well, they just kept saying that once they put that retention pond in, we won't have any issues. So then we went into that, well, our house is the retention pond. That water doesn't go into the actual retention pond, it's just sitting in our yard, in our house. So the water, you know, that's what the promises just kept coming is, you know, once we get these drains in, once, you know, we just kept hearing it. And that's bigger, you know, another reason, we're just here, we didn't know where else to go. We talked to everybody, and, I mean, I think y'all saw, we were on the Smoky Barns, we were on Channel 2, I mean, those were our pictures, and those are not even close to what, you know, we've been through since 22, so. Yeah.
So is there gonna be a new stormwater system in that connects all that stuff together?
Yes,
When?
but, I mean, I haven't been out there and looked at exactly what status it is, and I don't know the contractor's timeline either. It's the end of the project, is what I'm saying, that's where,
So when does the retention pond fall in place as opposed to the sewer?
they have some that are in place for construction, and that's intended to capture the sediment that moves. Sort of what they're pointing out to you is it didn't function as planned, as designed. But the same ponds most of the time, and I think going off of memory, I think that one was the same way. Once the subdivision is finished, it's no longer there to capture the sediment that's in the stormwater. It's there to slow down the water that leaves the development, so.
That's at the end of their project,
Right.
and we just have to hope that they do it all right.
And they're still
No,
putting, I mean, they're still putting in stormwater infrastructure. I've seen the pipes out there. They're still out there. The other problem they have is, the contractor's required to make sure they have buffers around the storm drains to make sure muddy water doesn't get there, but then it builds it up, so the water gotta get pretty deep for it to fall into the drains. So in the meantime, it's just running down the roads on a binder because they don't, put the top paving on until the subdivision's just about done, which is what most of these are we're talking about tonight.
So how do we inspect their sites? Do we know that they're keeping up with the stuff they need to keep it from running?
Right, we have an inspector that goes out and checks sites on a regular
How
basis, right? They're out there every day checking sites, that's what he is, full-time job as an inspector.
What's his name?
Right now, Michael had left, and we have Ashley Smith that's just started, so he's trying to get a feel for it. This is his first big event, he only started a couple weeks ago, so he's learning how to do the job. But right now, Isaiah's his boss, so that, if you're talking to Isaiah, you're talking to the right person. And then
So she works from home, so she's there full time.
Yeah, so it's either Isaiah or you call, or me, yeah, cause, I'm Isaiah's boss, so you can't get hold of him, you can get hold of me at City Hall.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you, guys.
Really sorry.
Sorry you're dealing with
Really
this.
sorry with this stuff that's going on with y'all.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else that would like to speak? Okay. All right, we'll move into the consent agenda items. Looks like items 1 through 8 are consent items. You want to?
That's right. Yeah, items 1 through 3 are bond extensions for Willow Grove and Stones Crossing. And then items 4 through 6 are bond reductions for Legacy Farms. Public Services has inspected and set the new bond amount for those. And then item 7 is approval for the 2025 Planning Commission schedule. And item 8 is staff requesting approval for the Parks Department scope of grant work.
I have a question about that. I live near that tennis court area, and I know that it has had high wind issues in the past. So I'm concerned about the canopy that's being built, and also the bench shelter, the little awnings, that those are not going to become hazardous in a high wind.
Okay.
Well, as far as the benches, I guess you're referring to, yeah, those will be anchored in, well, actually, no, they'll be scratch resistant, so they won't be anchored in.
No,
But I mean, they'll be pretty heavy, so I mean, I don't have too concerns with those. Now, the canopy, I mean, the posts themselves have to be like, I mean, the foundations for them are like 10 feet deep, and so, I mean, we did the same thing with the canopy that's at the dog park.
Okay.
It's the same thing there, and it's held up pretty well, so.
Yeah, I think the wind issues at the courts was the screening on the,
Yeah.
there probably was too much of that on there.
Yeah, it bent those posts,
It did.
like it just took it down.
Yeah, I think you guys reduced some of that screening, right, and so that should fix
To
that.
put more half moons and
Yeah.
stuff in it, so
Okay.
it should be better now, yes.
But those benches, which are not secured, have the little awning roofs.
Right.
So I'm concerned more about those being like leans.
Well, yeah.
I've never seen that design before.
Yeah. I just thought I mean, we don't have to do that, but like, it's just more shade, that's kind of the point. It goes with kind of like ADA, which these grants, they like to see that type of stuff, so that's the reason I added it on there. But, if it is I can call up some different places and see if, they've had issues with those in the past. And, you know, if that's,
Can you take that off? If
yeah,
you
we
need
can.
to? So
I think it's just an attachment.
Yeah, so maybe we can put them out there, and then if it becomes an
We try
issue,
them
then
on.
we
See
can
if
just
they
take.
start sliding around.
Yeah, we'll take them off, yeah.
That's a good idea.
See branches flying.
Hey, it could happen.
Any other questions, Lynn?
Oh, I did have one other question about the, extension of the parking lot in front of the dog park. I know that there's a line of trees right beside the residential that are right there, and there's a large field, and there's an existing tree line. But it looks like the parking lot is behind the tree line. Will there be another tree line so that there's a better barrier for the residents facing that
I
parking
mean, we
lot?
love planting trees. The only problem, and we're gonna have to probably move it anyways, is that disc golf course, that hole one, you know, it's right there. So we're gonna have to probably move it anyways, but that would be the problem, is the trees kind of getting in the way of the line of the disc. But, I mean, yeah. But I mean, I'd love to plant trees. I mean, yeah, we love them, so I mean, I'm totally fine with it. I'm not sure if there's landscaping plan to go along with that.
There will be, yeah, we included that.
Okay.
It's in some of the other grant documents and estimates that Kevin and I had worked on.
Thank you.
And our piece here is just to approve the scope of the grant work, correct?
Yes.
It's a requirement of the grant, if they act, the planning commission gives approval for the
Okay.
project.
Any other questions on items 1 through 8? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Well, what are we approving? All of it, I mean,
Yeah.
every bit of it?
Items 1 through 8.
Okay. All right.
Second?
We have a second?
Yeah.
Anyone against? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So item number 9 is a request recommendation for the board and mayor and aldermen to amend the zoning ordinance for a central business service district. General commercial regarding additions of public and private school offerings general education to be allowed by special exception.
Right, so, any new school development, in these districts would still require approval and review from planning commission. The change request was prompted by a small private school that identified a property, that they'd like to use for their school. It's currently zoned C1, and we thought it would be a better idea to request adding a special exception under C1 and C2 as opposed to rezoning the whole property. As of right now, schools are allowed in residential zoning and town center district with special exception, but you don't want to rezone that property into anything other than commercial.
Agreed, yeah.
I think for me with this one, I have some thoughts about the high level of noise, the traffic, the congestion, and the disruption that causes to the academic environment, and the visual distraction that takes place from the busy storefronts in the area while children are trying to learn, apart from the influx of traffic on foot and vehicles, is a concern when you have so many children. It is also going to minimize the space that we can use for leisure activities for children, like playgrounds or walking fields, things of that nature. Would be some of my thoughts with regard to putting a school in an area like this.
I think they would have to come in for approval. We're just saying that we're willing to look at it if they want to come in and get a special exception. So if somebody comes in with a plan, I think those are all valid things that we should look at and say, okay, in this case, does it make sense to do it, or do we not want to do it then?
Yeah, I just always worry about the
sure.
safety and then the traffic that we cause as a result of putting a school in an area like that.
Yeah. No,
Whenever they come to request that special exception, you'll be able to review and see exactly how they plan on their parking lot area to be, and any kind of playground area and safety questions questions like that.
Sidewalks, traffic control signals, pedestrian crosswalks, intersections.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think, in this particular case, if you're thinking if it was nearby, let's say just down the street, there's a sidewalk, the kids could use, they could use a splash pad, they could use a playground.
Yeah.
They could rent the gym, the new rec
Yeah, I
center
think we would have to
type of
really,
thing.
consider the area heavily
Yeah, I
before.
think so. That's why it's good to have it in special exception, let the BZA take a look at it, see if it's worth doing.
So both, daycare centers and churches and assemblies are allowed in C1s, correct? And a lot of private schools are church-run and operated and sometimes even have shared space.
Right.
So I don't have, I mean, I can see that.
Mhm.
C2 seems a bigger stretch. I don't know, but it does.
Right, and there might be, it might never be approved, one might never be approved in C2. I think we just decided to go ahead while we were redoing the ordinance and put it in there in special exception in case it came up and it would fit. But yeah, like you said, there's daycares, and other schools. This one in particular is a private elementary school that is pretty small, so, I mean, we were just trying to come up with a solution that would make sense.
We would still need to adhere to the 1,000 feet away from the vaping and smoke shops. We put that in previously.
Yes.
So we would
Yeah,
still
they
need
have to
to
meet
be
everything.
mindful.
That's what we want to look
Right.
at.
So it really just gives them the option to come to the board to ask.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily mean we have to say, we think this is good.
That's right.
Right.
It just seems odd putting general commercial. I'm guessing I have a motion to approve C1 but not C2, that's where I'm feeling. I don't know how anybody else feels.
Motion to approve of what?
She's got a motion to approve for C1 but not C2.
What is,
C1.
what's the property zone?
C1.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
that's fine, we can always revisit it later if we need to add C2 to the mix.
Okay, so that works.
Okay. We have a motion.
So we have a motion to approve for C1 and not C2?
Yes.
Okay,
I second that.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right. I believe that wraps us up for tonight. All right, thank y'all.
Motion to adjourn.